everyone, and welcome to the brand new show, Beyond the Mats, Wrestler Review, Volume 2. Yes, the old show, the Wrestler Review that I used to do on YouTube, got taken away by the YouTube Nazis, but guess what? It's coming back in podcast version here on Beyond the Mat. I am DM, and my co-host for this evening, James Buchanan.
Good evening, everybody. The reason this is back is I'm actually going to read the email we got from somebody called Mr. Bradley Ham, who sent us this email, and I'll read this out to you. He said, I'm a huge fan of your show as I love the mixture of tasteless jokes and professional wrestling, and I discovered your podcast from freedomforever.com, as I'm a huge Undertaker fan as well. Anyways, I wanted to possibly present a new idea for your show, stealing an idea from DM's sadly gone yet forever remembered YouTube show, The Blacklist, which was the Wrestler Review should be making a comeback. Maybe once a week, you guys should spend 5 to 10 minutes on a specific wrestler, remembering each other's favourite moments and matches involving said wrestler. If time is unavailable, I understand. However, I believe this would be an awesome little segment for the show. Anyways, keep up the funny yet crude jokes of Benoit's death, Charlie's curry reading skills, TNA Impact Wrestling, I'd rather masturbate with sandpaper, fuck a cactus that watched this show, and does anyone remember DM's chocolatey free pie? Well, Mr. Brady Ham, I'm just going to safely say that your wish has been granted, where instead it's not going to be a 5 or 10 minute extra based on a Beyond the Mat show. It's actually now going to be a brand new Beyond the Mat show, where every week, if we can, for 5 to 10 minutes, we are going to take a wrestler from any promotion anywhere in the world and talk about them for 5 to 10 minutes, our good points and our bad points. So DM, this is your show. It's all over to you now.
Well, our first episode for this particular installment, we thought about it for a little bit. It didn't actually take too long as we were thinking about it. But the wrestler profile we're going to discuss tonight is going to be Chris Jericho. A little bit of background information. Christopher Keith Irving, better known as Chris Jericho, is actually a Canadian-American inactive professional wrestler right now. He's a musician, songwriter, and radio personality, television host, actor, author, and, ironically, a dancer. He's best known for his time in WWE, or WWF if you want to look at it, and he's as well as his World Championship Wrestling and ECW Championship Wrestling debuts. Internationally, he is a Canadian, Mexican, and Japanese superstar. Go figure. He was also the host of ABC's game show Downfall, and as a lead vocalist of heavy metal band Fozzy. Yes, he's, Mongoose McQueen.
Awesome.
Go figure. Jericho has, over his career, won 30 championships between WWF, WWE, where he won 24 titles, WCW, and ECW. He's being credited as being the first ever undisputed champion within WWF, having unified the WWF and World Championship in 2001, where he later dropped it to Triple H. In WWF, or E, Jericho was a 1-time undisputed champion, a 3-time World Heavyweight Champion, a 2-time WCW World Champion, or WCW World Champion, a record 9-time Intercontinental Champion. I don't think anyone's broken that record yet. A 1-time European Champion, a 1-time Hardcore Champion, a 5-time Tag Team Champion, and a 5-time World Tag Team Champion, and a 2-time Tag Team Champion. I guess that's the difference. In WCW...
Yeah, that's the WWE Tag Team titles and the World Tag Team titles.
I guess that's when they... Was that when they were doing the SmackDown thing?
That was when they split, but Jericho actually never won the WWE Tag Team titles, I don't think, until 2009. I don't think he won it during the SmackDown period.
Yeah, because I know he had it with Jericho, with Big Show.
And he had it with Edge.
Yeah, and he had it with Edge, so those stats are, probably a little wrong. In WCW, he was a 4-time Cruiserweight Champion and a 1-time Television Champion, and while in ECW, he was a 1-time Television Champion. And these are the current stats, if he should win the WWE United States Championship, that would make him the only person to hold every title in WWE that has been around for the past decade. Jericho is overall recognized as a 6-time World Heavyweight Champion in reference to his 1-time WWF Championship, a 3-time World Heavyweight Champion, and 2 WCW World Championship reigns. He is the 9th Triple Crown Champion and the 4th Grand Slam Champion of WWE. Certain nicknames that go with this particular guy are, of course, Lionheart. He also notes himself as the Ayatollah of Rock and Roll and claims that he is the best in the world at what he does. That's a little biopsy of Chris Jericho. Before we get into the meat and potatoes, overall thoughts of Jericho?
That's a lot of fucking titles he's won.
Well, yeah, he is the best in the world at what he does.
Not gonna lie, when I first saw Jericho, I thought he was a comedy character, but overall he's grown on me. In the last 10 years and what he's been doing, he's been a fantastic wrestler, having consistently good matches, and he's one of the few wrestlers, if not the only wrestler, that's never actually had to take time off due to injury.
Yeah, I think you're right. As brutal and as beaten down as he is or can be, he's one of the guys that I don't think has ever been injured, or at least severely. Now, if I'm not mistaken, he came from the dungeon as well.
I believe he was dungeon with Benoit, I believe Malenko, all that lot went there, so he's a dungeon veteran.
So yeah, go figure. People from another guy from the dungeon. Well, just, doing his thing. And Jericho's got his hands in everything. He's like a media monster house. He's got stuff with books. He's got TV. He's on the radio. He's a musician. He just does it all. I don't want to call him necessarily a god, but he just does everything. He's all over the place. And he kind of tends to take the name Ayatollah of Rock and Roll. Now, how this particular show goes is we look at the particular wrestler in a scientific kind of way. We break down 5 kind of attributes, and we kind of give it a score out of 5. The attributes are his entrance, his promo or mic skills, his mat wrestling skills, his finisher, and the charisma. And again, we take a scientific approach, and the first category is his entrance. Now, we're not going to add pyro. We're not going to add, the theme. We're not going to add all the lights and all the, all the Hollywood stuff that WWE does. It's how they act during the entrance. It's how they own the entrance. For example, Chris Benoit had a pretty decent theme, but he just walked to the ring. Kind of meh. Whereas Chris Jericho, decent theme, he had pyro, but it was also the fan interaction. When he was a face, he got in the fans' faces and kind of got them interacting, and he was trying to get them all hyped up. When he was a heel, he just didn't want to do anything. He just walked down there, just did his poses, and just acted like he was superior to God. As for me, I gave him 4 out of 5 for his entrance.
For me, I will give him 3.5 out of 5. Personally, I think his entrances were very enjoyable to watch, but they were incredibly basic for what they needed to be. Obviously, I know. I'm not expecting like the bells and the whistles. I'm not expecting to be running around like a complete nutcase going, "Whoa, it's Chris Jericho," and doing all this stuff as well. But what he was doing for a man of his charisma, when we get to the other stuff like the mat, the ring skills, and the promos, for a man of his charisma, I would have expected something more from the entrance. Yeah, he does go around the fans and sort of gets them rolled up, or gets them really, really ready for the matches. But I just thought it was a very basic entrance, and for me, it's 3.5 out of 5.
The next category is his promo and mic skills. Not everyone is good on the microphone. In fact, there's a lot of guys that suck at cutting promos, but they make up for it in the ring. Chris Jericho is kind of an exception to that rule. He's one of the guys that progressively got better. In WCW, he was just kind of a whiny, snot-nosed kind of brat. He kind of had like that, not surfer idea, but just the way he came off, it just sounded kind of whiny and bratty. Kind of like how The Miz is doing now. But as he got older and matured, I should say, his promos got more interactive. He kind of made an ass of himself at the expense of himself, but you kind of remembered the promo. His debut on Raw, his debut on SmackDown, his return to Raw, his evolution of becoming Chris Jericho, the best at what he does. And personally, I have always paid attention to a Chris Jericho promo. And while he's not the best in the world, I will say that every time he is on the mic, he does get his point across. And for me, I'll give him 5 out of 5.
For me, I have to agree. Every time we say these things, there's certain wrestlers that every time they hold a microphone and are about to say something, you stop and you listen. There are very few people that make you do that. CM Punk is one of them. Chris Jericho is one of them. The Undertaker is one of them. There are a few people out there, but the first 3 that come to my head are those 3. Whenever they get a microphone, you stop and you listen. Chris Jericho's prime example. And the thing is, fact is, he believes everything that he says. He actually is the best in the world at what he does. He does the way he comes across. He believes everything he says. For me, 5 out of 5, probably one of the best, if not the best mic worker of the past 5 years.
Our next category, and this is kind of a fun category, it's mat wrestling skills. Now this is of course broken into 3 different categories. You have your mat wrestling, your aerial wrestling, and your submission wrestling. The problem, though, is Jericho can do all three. He's a triple threat. Not only is he good with submissions, not only is he good with his mat wrestling, but he's also a high flyer. Now, he's not going to do swanton bombs and, 450 splashes, but the guy can do planches. The guy can do moonsaults. The guy can leap off of the ropes and do things that normally shouldn't be done. He was one of the pinnacles of the Cruiserweight division in WCW. In fact, one of his big matches was with Alex Wright. I know, where the hell has he gone? And, of course, Dean Malenko. For me, Chris Jericho is a triple threat. If he can't get you with a submission, he'll get you with a pinfall. If he can't get you with a pinfall, he'll just out-wrestle you. He's one of the guys that you're going to get a good match with him. And to the top of my head, I can't really think of many bad wrestling matches that Chris Jericho has had. For me, he gets 5 out of 5.
Alrighty, for me, he gets 4.5 out of 5. For me to get 5 out of 5, there needs to be... even though obviously Jericho does 3 things, like I said, he does aerial, he does submission, he does mat. For me, for someone to get a 5 out of 5, they need to be able to do, not obviously everything, but they need to be doing everything so well that if they started doing, I don't know, insane aerial moves that are like sort of 720 splashes or something, you'd believe it. If Jericho did something like a tombstone or something, you would believe it. Stuff sort of like that as well. So it would have to be something like that. But for the fact he gets 4 out of 5, literally, sorry, 4.5 out of 5, literally for the fact that he is so good with everything that he does. He has all these different varieties. Like I said, he has the aerial moves. He can do stuff like the Lion Soul. He can do submission moves, obviously, like the Walls of Jericho. He's got, obviously, all of his mat wrestling skills. There's a variety of skills down there. You can look at all of the matches he's had with, like, Benoit, the matches he's had with, like, Kurt Angle, matches he's had with Christian, matches he's had, obviously, with Randy Orton in the last few years as well. All of his matches are generally very enjoyable, and 4.5 out of 5 for me.
The next category is charisma. Every wrestler can wrestle, but if you can't tell a story in the ring, if you don't have that charisma, if you don't have that it factor, if you don't give us a reason to want to watch this guy get beat up or do the beating, what's the point of watching? So, for me, Chris Jericho always told a story in the ring. Whether he was cocky, arrogant, boastful, humble, whether he was the best in the world at what he did, a tag team champion, a world champion, chasing a title, ending a feud, being absolutely silly, being absolutely ridiculous, or being downright serious. For me, Chris Jericho gets a 5 out of 5. This is the guy that you were going to get a story out of a match, you were going to get a story out of a segment, you were going to get a story out of Chris Jericho. This is a guy that he can just show up, be on commentary, be down the ring, be in the ring, be backstage. He's going to do something. May not be necessarily different every single time, but it's Chris Jericho. He's got the fans in his hands, and he knows it. And that's something that's very hard to get, especially in this day and age, because everyone is so basic. Jericho, young Jericho, mid-age Jericho, old Jericho, however you want to look at it, he's always had the fans in his hands, and I give him 5 out of 5.
Jericho for charisma, 5 out of 5 for me. I mean, look at the guy. The guy's probably got the most charisma out of anybody you will ever see. The fact of the matter is, whenever you see any of his promos, if he was goofy Chris Jericho when he was doing his Y2K stuff, or when he was peeing in William Regal's coffee or tea or whatever it was, absolutely fantastic stuff. Look at the stuff in 2009 when he was just a complete dick of a heel, when he was feuding with stuff like Rey Mysterio, and he made you want to literally go in there and punch you in the face. And the fact that when he came out to Extreme Rules or something, and as he was walking down, like saying that, oh, he was having to walk through the crowd just so everyone could be happy, and he was telling people not to touch him and that he will punch their face out and he will sue them, all that as well. The man oozes charisma. The man is brilliant in the ring. The man is brilliant with everything he does. Every time you see Chris Jericho, you just either want to love him or hate him. 5 out of 5 for me.
And the final category that we have is his finisher. This is kind of a redeemer and also a breaker at the same time, because some wrestlers wrestle great and they have a shit finisher, or they wrestle like crap and they have an awesome finisher. You know, for example, Ezekiel Jackson. Nice finisher, horrible wrestler. It's kind of weird because Jericho kind of has a whole combination of them, but the two that I picked out in recent is the Walls of Jericho, or Lion Tamer, and the Code Breaker. Walls of Jericho, not the best submission, I will admit. Yeah, it puts stress on the back, but looking at it from a scientific standpoint, that's putting a lot of stress on Jericho. I can see why he sat down. I think his Code Breaker is a better finisher because it's similar to an RKO, where it can just come out of nowhere And as for me, taking both of them into account, I'll give his finishers 4 out of 5. I don't think it's more so. I don't think Jericho has to win with a finisher, but if he does connect with it, he does seal the deal.
Yep. I'd have to give it 4 out of 5 as well. I do agree that the Walls of Jericho, not in terms of the DM saying obviously it's a bit of a thing. My problem with the fact with the Walls of Jericho is I don't understand how it is exactly a finisher. It's just a standard submission maneuver, just considered to be the Walls of Jericho. For example, a Tombstone Pile Driver. The reason I like that as a finishing maneuver is because no one else did a standing pile driver, like a standing, I can't remember what the exact term for it, it's like a standing something like the pile driver.
I believe it's dimed as a vertical pile driver, I think.
It's vertical pile, but no one else has done that prior. Everyone really can do a Boston Crab, so it was a bit of a, wish-wash finisher. The Codebreaker I enjoy, like you said, it comes out like an RKO, it can come out of nowhere, I do enjoy that move. It's like another finisher to put onto his repertoire as well, so it's obviously like you said, if it's not the fact is if he uses it, he wins, it just seals the deal. But for me, I would prefer the Codebreaker overall, but given in fact, I would give this 4 out of 5 as well.
We're getting towards the end of the show. Yeah, it's going to be a quick show. It's not going to be this long, muscled-out debate. But some of the feuds I can remember Chris Jericho in, of course, with Chris Benoit, Kurt Angle, Triple H, Christian, HBK, Dean Malenko, and Rey Mysterio. These are all top-tier guys that you put him in with Chris Jericho, and you're going to get a 5-star classic. Those are just some of the feuds that, of course, come to mind. If there's any of them that I may have missed that you could bring up.
His return feud with Orson in 2007 was actually pretty decent. The fact that he put Orton pretty well over as WWE Champion at the time. His feud with Shawn Michaels in 2008, fantastic feud, absolutely brilliantly done feud, just, working all over Shawn Michaels. And when he went to the tag team division as well, some of the recent stuff when he was just building up the tag team roster when there was still a tag team division there. Jericho's just well advanced in anything he goes. He could be a singles wrestler, a tag team wrestler. He could be a triple-decker trios, steel cage, Hell in a Cell, hardcore worker, and it would still work because it's Chris Jericho.
And the final segment of this show, favorite Jericho match. 2 come to mind right off the bat. WrestleMania 19 where he fought Shawn Michaels. That was more of a nostalgia thing because it was technically like a return match for HBK. I mean, he was feuding with Triple H the whole time, but this was Chris Jericho, a guy that idolized him, so it was art imitating life. Or the second one that I love personally is his match with Chris Benoit. They had a ladder match, and I believe it was at the Royal Rumble, and they were competing for the Intercontinental Championship. One reason why I will never forget it, the octopus on top of a ladder. Insane. Those two could have a match every night and it would never get old. But those are the 2 matches off the top of my head that I think are my favorite Chris Jericho matches. And ironically, it wasn't in the modern era of Chris Jericho, which is kind of sad, because he has had some classics.
Yeah, some of the classics I'll bring up and probably some of them on the modern era. Obviously, like you said, the stuff against Shawn Michaels, the Great American Bash match in 2008, the Unsanctioned match, Unforgiven in 2008. So you've obviously got the match against Christian at WrestleMania 20. You have probably the matches, what was it? The Elimination Chamber, the first Elimination Chamber match he was in Survivor Series 2002, which we done a commentary on a few days ago. That was a fantastic match as well. And obviously we've got to agree as well with some of the matches DM brought up, the WrestleMania 19 match and the Royal Rumble match with the ladder. Some fantastic matches, and like we said, Jericho is one of the very few people that can basically have a match with anything. He's basically on the same level as Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels, the story goes, give Shawn Michaels a broom, he could have a great match with it. Same as Chris Jericho. Give him a broom, he could probably have a 5-star match with that.
And, well, that's Chris Jericho. Just wrapping it up, I can't really echo any more than what James said, but Jericho's one of those hidden talents that I didn't see coming. I watched him in WCW and said, yeah, he's got something, but it's something about him I don't like, and it's just the way he was perceived. When he came to WWF at the time, everyone knew who Chris Jericho was, either from ECW, either from Japan, either from watching WCW. People knew who he was, and he was always a guy to kind of watch. And it's not that I necessarily liked him, but I respected his craft. And as he got more vested in the company, he became one of my personal favorites, whether he was a heel or whether he was a face or whether he's doing Fozzy or on Dancing with the Stars or doing radio commentary. And Jericho is also very educated as well. He, whenever you do an interview with the guy, watch him on CNN, he knows his craft. Jericho pulls no punches, and that's something that the wrestling world needs, is educated people. Not that he has a bachelor's degree in political science or anything, but most recently when they were doing the whole Benoit thing, he wasn't necessarily pro-Benoit, but he defended every single point. And Jericho's got his hands in a lot of different things, and it's lovely seeing someone know what they're talking about. And, when he tweets, you believe him. So maybe his promos are really him. You know what I mean?
Yep, that's incredibly true. His promos are going to be him, and all I can say is Chris Jericho, he probably will be returning to WWE very time soon, even if it's just like another month or so. But this guy, Chris Jericho, is definitely going into the Hall of Fame, and I can't wait for that day because it's going to be one of the most memorable Hall of Fame speeches ever.
And that will do it for this episode of, the Wrestler Review. It is returning due by fan request. Was something that's been on the back burner for a long time, and I just didn't have time to do it. But obviously the podcast version tends to work better because I now no longer have to edit clips and music. If you like this particular pilot, send us your comments. Email us at, what is that email again?
BeyondTheMat@ScytherPodcast.com. That's BeyondTheMat@ScytherPodcast.com. BeyondTheMat@ScytherPodcast.com.
Send us your thoughts, your comments, wrestlers you'd like us to review, and it doesn't have to be people in WWE. It could be people from ROH. It could be people from New Japan. It could be people from anywhere, although we do have some limits. If you tell us, from CCW, we'll tell you no.
If you say stuff like people like Martin Stone or Pac from UK, it's not going to work because, bearing in mind, even though I live in the UK, it's kind of hard to actually watch some of their stuff. So you got to be realistic in people. I mean, we're not talking mainstream, but keep it realistic. Keep it something that we can personally watch and get a lot of feel with.
And that will do it for this episode of The Wrestler Review. Thank you for tuning in, and until next time, we'll see you then. I mean, what?
What do you want?
I want everything. Oh, crap, it's recording already. Oh, shit. Oh, no, wait. Is it recording? I don't know. Wait. Turn on. What the fuck's it doing? Alright. Awesome. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first installment of the brand new show, Beyond the Mat. Fuck, I gotta do that over.
I think we know what's going to be happening at the end of this episode. I think we're going to have a few outtakes. What we're doing, I've got an idea now, okay? Have you still got all the stuff we've recorded for like the last 5 or 10 minutes?
I do, yes.
That's going at the end of the show as outtakes and crap like that, okay?
Wow, let me just do that all over again. Blah, okay.
Beyond the Mat, it's Beyond the Mat Wrestling Review, Volume 2, Episode 1.
That's where I was going, but for some reason I got the blacklist stuck in my head, and it just... Yeah, I don't want to go that route again.
We'll be taking off of Skype.
Yeah, taking off of Skype. Wow. Okay.
Chris Jericho was a good person. And your band. Oh.
Okay, here we go.